Hello and welcome to the Appleby Hour. I'm Appleby, and today we're talking about Ben Shapiro. Now, before we get into the video, we're doing a Are You Coconut Pill? Because, yes, as a matter of fact, I am. But I just wanted to point out how both of these thumbnails have the word weird. Oh, and weird over here. Okay, that's all the weirds. You can tell that the conservatives are really upset that we're calling them out for being a bunch of weird freaks. But let's see about the coconut pill.
Well, with Kamala Harris now the presidential nominee for the Democrats are experiencing a sugar high. That sugar high is coming.
You know, I saw, while I was looking for videos, I think it was Walsh or Crowder. It doesn't matter. But they were like, will she be the nominee? It's like, yeah, at this point, yes. It would be crazy if she was not the fucking nominee.
From the fact that Joe Biden is, in fact...
I'm glad that, Ben can recognize that fact.
Not the nominee. But Democrats are mistaking that sugar high for Kamala Harris being an actually good and effective candidate. Now,
she doesn't need to be. She doesn't need to be because your candidate is bad and ineffective. So, she doesn't have to be good or effective. She just has to be like a human being,
The polls have tightened pretty dramatically, and that is, again, because Joe Biden is no longer in the race. Effectively, the race has been pushed back before the debate. So right before the debate between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, Joe Biden was losing, but he was losing by a marginal amount. He was within the margin.
Well, this is I haven't talked about Kamala since she got the nomination. I mean, I've responded to people, but I haven't made a video talking myself about Kamala. And the reason is that I am a little skeptical as to whether or not this, because I could see it going either way. I could see the numbers continue to climb and climb and climb until it's just like, there's no question, Kamala's got this. But I could also see it being a bump and it going back down. But I will say, the polls do, at this moment, they are better than Joe before the debate. If the election was held right this second, I'm pretty sure that Kamala would win. Like 75-25,
Of error in virtually every swing state. He was within a couple points of Donald Trump. It was a very competitive race. Mm-hmm. It is back to being a competitive race. The last several polls show that Kamala Harris is, in fact, within margin of error nationally. The Wall Street Journal has Trump up 49-40.
Yeah, that's a fair point. All within margin of error still.
7. Forbes Harris X has Trump up 51-49. The New York Times Siena poll has Trump up 48-47. Again, that is a much narrower lead than he had against Joe Biden, but Kamala Harris is not, in fact, a dead person, so that obviously...
Yes, that does help.
...is going to help her. It also means that a lot of the Democratic enthusiasm problems have gone away. Democrats were wildly unenthusiastic about their candidate, and you could feel it. It was palpable. If you hung around Democrats, you could see they were depressed going into the election. The last thing you want is for your crowd to be depressed going into an election cycle. That depression appears to be over, but there's somewhat of a manic property to the sugar high that Democrats are currently experiencing, because the reality...
You see, it makes me feel better about it that he wants to downplay it so much, because I am worried that it's a flash in the pan. But the fact that Ben is so worried that it isn't makes me think maybe it isn't.
Reality is that even with Kamala Harris having this enormous bump out of the gate, the media just sycophantically drooling over her.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
New York Magazine putting a cover out saying Camelot, like it's camel. Like, wow, the answer was there all along.
Yeah, that was a really stupid pun. I don't know why they did that.
The media going out of their way to erase all the truths about Kamala Harris. Even with that, Kamala Harris is...
I mean, I don't know. We're not erasing the truths. We just don't care. Nobody cares anymore. Our entire electorate is fucking as apathetic as they've ever goddamn been. What is there to care about in this goddamn country right now? What is there to... Oh, I'm so excited. Where's that? Point me to that, Ben. I'd love to hear it.
Still not leading in the polls. According to Decision Desk HQ, which is an excellent aggregator of polls, they find, for example, in Pennsylvania, that Donald Trump still has about a 2.5 point lead on Kamala.
Okay, so now you're not mentioning that's within the margin of error, Anything within 5 points, I got to have a 6-point lead for me to take it too seriously.
Harris, and that is a minor decrease since the week before. In other words, the polls, Democrat versus Republican, continue to be quite durable in favor of Donald Trump, although, again, those margins are very, very narrow. And you're going to get another 3 weeks of solid coverage of Kamala.
Here's another thing. Trump seems to have hit a ceiling with a lot of people. I don't think Kamala's anywhere near her ceiling. I think that she could do well. And, a lot of people forget this, but or they just don't know. But back in the 2020 primaries in 2019, the Democratic primaries, the reason she was picked as that other than, of course, being, they say she's a DEI hire. There's some truth in that. I mean, obviously you want to help with the black vote, right? But Joe was already, served under Obama's administration. He already had huge points there. He could have got away with a Elizabeth Warren, right? Not that they would, but let's say that they did. The reason that they would do that is because Kamala did not perform well. And the reason that Kamala did become the vice president is because of that first debate she did. She fucking knocked it out of the park. She was ferocious. And if she can bring that energy to another debate with Trump, I think that could win her a lot of points with the American people. That's what I want to see. I want to see her take the gloves off. I want her to stop pretending. Obviously there's some authenticity to her bubbliness. That laugh isn't fake. But there's also this side of her that is sort of vindictive and cruel. And I think that she could really sink her claws into Trump if she lets herself off the hook a little. So that's what I'm hoping for. And I think then we might see where her ceiling is after that debate performance, if it happens,
Well, Harris, where the media basically just massage her. She's going to pick a vice presidential candidate sometime in the next couple of weeks. You're going to get the Democratic convention that is happening the third week.
Yeah, I really do need to brush up on the vice presidential candidate options. I have not been paying attention to that as much as I should. But, that'll be a big decider in the race. Arizona might be a smart choice. I know that they're considering someone from Arizona. Whatever. We'll talk about it when we talk about it, I guess.
Of August. So it's going to be a nice 3 weeks for Kamala Harris, and then the bump is going to be over. You are seeing, of course, a massive impact on her approval rating. Martha Raddatz of ABC News, she was reporting that Kamala Harris's approval rating has bumped almost 20 points since she was announced as the nominee.
This morning, our brand new ABC News Ipsos poll shows Harris getting a real bounce. Her favorability rating among all Americans up 8 points in just 1 week. The numbers.
Yeah, it is crazy how fast things are happening. After that week after Trump got shot, after the debate, like I said it before, I was super fucking drained. But I don't know. It feels like 2 centuries have been packed into this fucking 2 weeks.
Even better among independents, with her favorability rising from 28% to...
See, now that's a big fucking deal.
44% since Biden left the race. And there appears to be new enthusiasm for Harris, with 48% enthusiastic about her as the Democratic nominee.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Enthusiasm. Not to mention, first of all, that she's a woman, and second of all, that she's, pro-choice on the abortion issue, I think that there's going to be a lot of women who are like, oh, yeah, I'm voting Trump. And then they're going to go in there and they're going to fucking pull the lever for Harris,
Compared to 39% enthusiastic about Trump as the GOP nominee.
Okay, well, again, that enthusiasm is likely to wear off as the sort of varnish on Kamala Harris' candidacy starts to wear off.
Very eloquent, man.
The fact is that Kamala Harris is a bad candidate. She's a bad candidate in 2019. She's a bad candidate in 2020. And she
is not ideal. She's far from ideal. But to be fair, there was no good candidate. I really would like to know, because apparently the Obamas and Pelosi were rooting for someone else, and Joe kind of forced Kamala on the party as a fuck you for making him step down. So I am interested who that would have been, and whether or not I think they would have had a better shot, She
is, in fact, a bad candidate in 2024, as we'll get to. She has a lot of vulnerabilities. But again, for the moment, the story is newfound Democratic enthusiasm. Lydia Polgreen, who is a left-wing columnist for the New York Times. She has an entire piece titled, "I was a Kamala Harris skeptic. Here's how I got coconut pilled." So
Yeah, I'm in the same spot. I mean, I'm coconut pilled, but I still hate her guts. I mean, Cop Mala, that never went away. It's just that things have gotten so bad that it does seem like lesser of two evils makes sense. Now, I don't think it always makes sense. I'm not a vote blue no matter who kind of guy, but I am a vote blue no matter who this time around guy. So
Democrats are trying to take all of the weirdnesses of Kamala Harris and magically shift them over in real time into assets. So all the weird clips of her laughing about falling out of a coconut tree or something.
yeah, well, that's again, you're making fun of her mother. Like I feel like if someone on the Democratic side made fun of like Trump for telling a story about his mother, that would constantly be attacked as like, how dare you disrespect someone's mother? That's just weird and skeevy, you know?
Those are now being turned into some sort of strength. In the same way that Democrats tried to do this.
Well, it's ironic, you know, because no one wants Kamala, but we didn't want Biden so badly that this is a huge step up. So we're like, hell yeah, coconut build.
That Brandon, let's go Brandon, started off as a mistaken chant at a NASCAR rally.
Yeah.
You remember this? At NASCAR, there was
I do. They were chanting, fuck Joe Biden, and the newscaster was like, I think they're saying, let's go Brandon.
There's a big event, and people were shouting, F Joe Biden.
F Joe Biden. Frick Joe Biden. He can't even say frick. Truly America's class president. Bravo, Ben.
And one of the commentators there didn't want to say what exactly the crowd was chanting, so instead,
yes,
the commentator said they're chanting "Let's go, Brandon," and then that became sort of a phrase used by the right, and then that was captured and used by the Democrats in terms of taking.
I like how it's the Democrats. Like, I'm not a fucking Democrat, bro. I'm not registered, okay? You can go fuck yourself with that shit.
The image of Joe Biden putting sunglasses on him with laser eyes and then saying he was dark Brandon. So now Democrats are trying to do the same.
Yeah, that was a poorly timed thing. It was interesting that Biden decided to embrace that like just before and then immediately after the fucking slaughter in Palestine.
With the coconut meme. So they're calling it coconut pilled. Kamala Harris is, in fact, weird. They're trying to make her not weird, but she's kind of weird. You know what would be weird?
She's a brat.
However, if you would not use Pure Talk, that would be weird.
Whoa.
I've been using I've always today.
And again, the weird thing has really gotten under their skin. They're like, we're not weird. You guys are weird. It's like, no, guys, you're fucking weird. You're weird, bro.
Suddenly, they're enthusiastic.
The way you're like obsessed with other people's vaginas, kind of fucking weird.
About coconuts. So what does Lydia Polgreen say? She says, I've always voted, but like most journalists, I've tried to keep my political views mostly to myself. She did not do a good job of that. Everyone knew that she was to the left. So she says, quote,
also, I disagree that you should do that. Like, I hate it when journalists say that. You should explicitly state your political views. Otherwise, how am I supposed to know what the bias is? Like, I can't believe that, like, in our society, the journalistic integrity in our society means I'm going to scrub my biases from this and pretend they aren't there. Like, no, that's not integrity. I don't know what that is. It's gross. It's weird.
On the morning after the disastrous June debate between Biden and Trump, I wrote with enthusiasm I believed Harris should take over at the top of the ticket and very much could be Trump. Why did I come around to Harris? Why so quickly? A lot of people are now asking themselves how they feel about Harris and whether she can do the job. All understandable questions after 5 years when many people were met at best on her.
Yeah.
The flash flood of endorsements, donations, and support for Harris has been astonishing.
Yes, it has. It's been a record-breaking the fundraising that's happened like overnight, and you know, money talks, especially in elections. So. And I know that GOP and Trump are kind of struggling financially. They lost, fucking, what is his name? Cuck-ass Elon. They lost his recurring $47 million because Trump was like, I'm going to end all subsidies to electronic vehicles. And fucking Elon's like, wait, but that's how I made all of my money.
I think you can trace the beginning of the vibe shift to Biden's terrible debate and Harris.
Not all of it, but a big fucking chunk of it.
His interview with CNN's Anderson Cooper shortly afterward when she crisply defended Biden and made an energetic case against Trump. Okay, that's not really what's happening here. Again, nobody actually has new thoughts about Kamala Harris. They're just trying to talk themselves into new thoughts about Kamala Harris because they're...
Well, we don't have new thoughts. See, this is interesting. Facts don't care about your feelings. He has it right there on the top of his laptop. By the way, it's a weird composition to have just that on the lap. But whatever. That's a total aside. No one has any new facts. No one has any new thoughts on Kamala, but we do have new feelings. I feel hopeful. I feel energized. I feel like dynamic. I feel the winds of change in the air. As much as, facts may not care about your feelings, but election numbers do. So
relieved that Joe Biden is not in the race. Now, there are a bunch of problems with Kamala Harris as a candidate. There are two main problems. One, she's very radical on policy and believes weird things. Two,
I don't know about that. See, here's the thing. It's been said on both sides that Kamala's very, very far left, and the reason for this is because she does have one of the most progressive voting records in the Senate. At one time, it was even more progressive than Bernie Sanders. The wrinkle in this is that it was a Republican-controlled Congress, so it wouldn't have mattered if she voted super far left because nothing was ever going to get passed, right? So it's kind of questionable how much that actually means. I don't know how she would govern. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I need to see some policy prescriptions. I haven't checked since the last time I said this, but to my knowledge, there are still no policy positions on Kamala's website. I'm hoping that will change when she gets the nomination at the end of next month. Or not the end, but in next month.
She's a weird person. Okay, both of those things are true. We know the first because it turns out that her policies are, in fact, incredibly radical. We played last week clips of her talking about equity in an incredibly Marxist way. The basic idea was, according to Kamala Harris, the Democratic presidential nominee, that everyone should end up in the same place. That is what we are all shooting for, not that everyone should have opportunity, that everyone should have equal rights.
Well, everyone should start off in the same place. I think when she means everyone should end up in the same place, she means like groups, like intersectionally. I very much doubt she wants fucking communism where you don't own your own toothbrush or whatever.
No, instead that everyone should end up at the same place.
Like, be real.
Which is just communism. Kamala Harris.
So he's claiming Kamala Harris is a fucking communist, which is... I mean, I would be very much surprised if that if that was the outcome.
Has backed a ban on fracking. She has...
Good. Fracking is so fucking destructive, and we need to be getting off oil anyway. There's plenty of oil we can get to without fracking right now, and we need to be weaning off of it anyway. So why frack? Like, it causes fucking earthquakes, poisons water supplies. Fracking is like the most environmentally destructive thing we do, and I know for a fact there's going to be even more impacts down the line that we don't even know about. It's just stupid. Like, I love that Republicans, they like to frame themselves as the economically literate party, but they don't understand investments at all. It's like, yeah, if we spend a little money now, it'll save us money in the long run. And they're like, I don't get it. It's like, I don't believe you.
Steadfastly stood against fossil fuels. She wants a full-scale gun seizure for quote-unquote assault weapons.
Yeah, I don't, if that's true, again, I feel like everything up until now, Kamala could just be saying shit. She needs to, have a policy platform. But if that's true, I oppose that.
And Kamala Harris is incredibly radical on a wide variety of policies. So she's weird on policy. And then...
He keeps calling her weird. He just won't shut up about, this is weird.
There's the problem of her personally. And we're all obscuring this and pretending that it doesn't exist, but it's very real. It turns out that presidential candidates tend to expose the weirdnesses in people. People who look good at the state level, when exposed to national spotlight, very often fall apart. You see this every primary season.
Right, but I don't know. Kamala... I just don't get that feeling with Kamala, I suppose. That's and when I say feeling, I guess intuition. My gut is telling me, I think Kamala stands up to scrutiny. Kamala is many things, but wet toilet paper, she's not.
You remember that there are people that we all kind of liked I can name them off the top of my head. Tim Pawlenty, senator from Minnesota. And there was a lot of talk about him a few years back as a presidential candidate. It turned out he was kind of dull. Scott Walker, super nice guy, excellent governor of Wisconsin, early frontrunner for the Republican nomination a few years back. And it turns out just didn't have it. Governor DeSantis in Florida. People
now that's a fair example.
like me.
And the first one I actually recognize.
Big backers of DeSantis because he happens to be the best governor in the country. And then it turns out that when he got on the national stage, that he kind of spoke awkwardly and all of that sort of stuff started to crop up.
He spoke awkwardly the entire time. And he wore heels, high heels, like fucking platform boots.
Kamala Harris has been on the national stage before. She is not new to us. The attempt to recast her as something magical and wonderful is odd because there are too many clips of her cackling like a crazy person.
Yeah, laughter. It's called laughter. It doesn't surprise me that fucking the Republicans just hate joy.
Or smiling her way through various events. Or delivering word salads like something out of Soup Plantation.
I don't understand that reference, but that felt a little,
Kamala Harris is a weird person. She's a very strange individual. And how many clips can there be of her talking about the magic of Venn diagrams and electric school buses? And again...
Hey, Venn diagrams are underrated. That was the most fucking relatable thing she ever said to me. I fucking love Venn diagrams. And people just don't understand.
People can pretend that stuff doesn't exist. They can pretend that that's a personal attack, but every single candidate goes through this.
What? Pretend it's a personal attack? Why are they still pretending to be against personal attacks? Since when are we against personal attacks? But Americans love personal attacks.
Single one. Are you tired of the lies and the twists of the mainstream media talking?
I sure am, Ben. I sure am. God, I hate, you're fucking mainstream, Ben. Oh, thank you for watching. Do the things. You know the things.